Do I look too sunk in, bro? Look at the camera. Gig with Meat Brothers. We did Oh Baby Doll Me Sone Ki, right? All those songs.
Alright, थोड़ा तेरा pull करेगा ना? खाली.
Good.
Just that's yeah. I just want your deeper voice.
Yeah, man. This story goes back to when I was in India. So I was a young kid, and maybe I was 6, 7. My dad had this stereo player with 2 speakers, one in each end of the room. Had 2 cassette players where you can record from one and the other, and you have the AM and the FM. Yeah.
What's your creativity process? Like, I have my spot in my house where I just sit there.
There you go. When you say you sit there, is it the bathroom? Autotune, everyone uses it. Biggest singer in the world, even if you can't
Arjit
tell.
Singh?
Yes.
If you haven't yet finished your normal tasks, just wait for the episode to be over. Please share this with as many people as possible, and then subscribe to the channel if you are new to the channel for the first time, right? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Clean Slate Show Runner podcast. My today's guest is fun. It's first in a lot of ways for this podcast. So he's my senior because the industry that I upload my videos on, he's been there for years. So I'm very relaxed today because most of the heavy lifting is going to be done by my today's guest. He belongs to the music industry, so which means he's a composer. He makes music. His views on YouTube are in thousands. I'm gonna put the link in the description. Check him out. But without further ado, let's bring the guest in, Arpit Gandhi.
Right.
Welcome
Man,
to the show.
that's a lot of pressure you're putting on me.
Nah, man, this is I was looking forward to having you, and just
Yeah.
a thought that came to my mind, and all of a sudden I was like, okay,
Yeah.
it'll be super fun if I can get Arpit to come on the show and just share experience.
We made it happen. We're here.
Bro, I'm so glad you did it. So I have this season 2. I was just
Okay.
telling you off the camera, right? Season of
Yeah.
no regrets. Okay, so I just have like one small segment that I planned for all the guests.
Okay.
Right? So we'll play a small game. Because you are a music composer
Okay.
and they're all Indian composers.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you composers. So rank them from 1 to 5. Once you rank it, you can't change it.
Oh boy.
Okay. And we'll see where this goes.
I also produce for composers, so if I put somebody up top, I don't want to lose work.
So we'll see. We'll see if you regret it or not. Right at
All
the
right,
end of
let's
the
see,
show.
let's see.
And again, the order is just random. So
Okay.
you pick. All right.
All
So
right.
first one is Guru Randhawa.
Okay. What do you want me to give a rating or
Just rank him from 1 to 5. And whatever rank you give him, you can't
four,
take
man.
it.
That guy has delivered hits after hits.
I have some interesting topics to talk to you about that
Yeah.
area. Badshah.
Bacha, 5, bro. Guy's been killing in the game for
A.R.
a while.
Rahman.
Rahman, like 50?
Wait, you want to put him 50? That low?
Man, no, high, right? 50 is high.
No. So one is the best.
1 is the best.
5 is like the 5th rank.
Then let's put Guru at 2, Bacha at 1, and
Guru
of
2,
course
Badshah at
Rahman
2.
at 1.
At 1. Oh man. All right.
Man,
Pritam.
Pritam definitely 1, man.
You can't. You can only take 1. You rank.
So I have to take all of these and rank
Alright,
them
so
from
let's
1 through 5.
restart.
Yeah,
But-
give me all the names so I can rank them from 1
No,
through 5.
you can. But if that's the whole point, I want to see if you regret your last choice or not.
Got it. Now I get the game.
All right.
Now I get the game.
All right,
let's
so
start over then.
Start over.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the same options.
Okay.
You still don't know who the last one is.
Okay.
All right. So Guru Randhawa is where do you put Guru Randhawa?
In that sense, I'll put him at 4,
Okay. What about Badshah?
5.
Okay. A.R. Rahman.
I'm probably gonna regret this. Not regret this. Number 1.
Okay. All right. Pritam. There's 2
I'll
and
put
3
3.
left.
I'll say 3 because
3?
I know who I want number 2 to be.
Do you want to tell me yours first, or you
Amit
want to know
Trivedi.
mine first?
Amit Trivedi.
I had him, but I wanted to put Yo-Yo Honey Singh.
Oh man. I mean, Yo-Yo Honey Singh has some insane hits. A party doesn't start or stop without him, right?
So
yeah.
I kind of butchered it, but my whole point was I was going to bring you to the point where you're going to regret your choices.
Yeah.
And then I was going to tell you, okay, how do you deal with regrets in life? So
Yeah.
any take on that?
I mean, no regrets in life, right? It's all lessons. We all have been there where we took a decision and, wasn't the right decision, but, you get a lot of learning from it, right? For
Right.
example, in this one, I don't think I regret it because Honey Singh has still delivered a lot of hits.
Right.
So One thing I learned early on when I started music is, there's no guarantee if the audience is going to like it or not. Okay. And you're always going to look at a song after you release it and think, I could have done that. I could have done that. I could have made it better this way. But no regrets, man. Once it's out, work on the next one, learn from the last one, put it into the next one, and just keep going. So that's no regrets. I like that. No regrets. Yeah.
So let's start with the very first segment that I wanted to talk about was to just know a little bit about you.
Yeah.
How did you come into music?
Yeah, man. This story goes back to when I was in India. So I was a young kid and, maybe I was 6, 7. My dad had this stereo player with 2 speakers, one in each end of the room, had 2 cassette players where you can record from one and the other, and you have the AM and the FM.
Right.
And my dad would bring a cassette from his coworkers and we would play it. And it's so funny now that I think about it. I used to make remixes before I knew what a remix was.
Wow.
So a song would be playing and I would start tapping the table with the beat and make my own beat to it. Or I would make some weird noises like a barking noise to like add in between the beat. And I really enjoyed it. I didn't know any better. And my dad saw this and he realized that I have some fascination with music. And there was an open audition for All India Radio in Gujarat. So this was the Gujarat All India Radio station. And the program was called Akashvani.
Akashvani, yes.
Akashvani.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember.
I know.
So it's where basically the concept of the show is you're at a train station with the host and there are 2 little kids and I was one of the little kids and you're asking and answering questions and the train takes you on a journey. Okay. So it could be you're going to a village. It could be you're going to a holy celebration. And I was part of that. So there was music and stories and then you were acting as a voice actor as part of that. So I did that. After that, I had an affinity for learning to play piano, but I gave up too easily when I was maybe 7, 8, 9, right?
Right.
And then somebody told me that there's an audition for like a stage show, like a drama or a play as you call them in US. Okay. So I did that and there was a play called Shaktimanu Sursuryu.
Okay.
And it was a 15-tour show. So, you were prepping for 6 months. I did the prep for it. I was acting on stage. And then we got the visa for coming to the States. We came to America, left everything back home, kind of learned the ropes of a new country, learned a new language. I had no idea how to speak English when I came here. And then...
what year was this?
This was 1999.
Okay, all right. So it's fairly, very early.
It's like 25, 26. I was maybe 11 years old, right?
Right.
And after that, you do your schooling. There was choir in school, play in school. I was part of like the choir where I didn't sing that great. Right. But I was still part of it, right?
Right.
And then by the time I graduated, I really got an affinity for DJing. So I picked up DJing. And I did DJ. I DJed for a while. My dad was like, if you get a 1,400 or higher, I'll get you your first speakers and a DJ set.
Right.
Got that and, worked very hard for it. And he got me a DJ set and I started DJing. Obviously I continued that. So I used to play clubs in Philly, clubs in New York. We used to do India Day parties in New York City. I don't know if you remember those at like Webster Hall, things like that. Club Platinum in New Brunswick. I DJed all of these places. And then I also joined pharmacy school. So after 2nd or 3rd year, started getting a little busier. At this time, I started making my own remixes. And I really enjoyed that aspect of being able to create something rather than play something that already exists, right?
Right.
So I started learning music production a little bit right then. And then I quit my DJing gig, right?
Right.
And then afterwards, I picked up my skills of how to produce, how to compose. Over time, no official training. And then... here I am in 2000, and I want to say 11 or 12, I had my first big studio gig with Meat Brothers, who did Oh Baby Doll Me Sone Ki, right? All those songs. So we were locked in the studio for 7 days, 8 hours a day, and we were just cranking out songs. We cranked out 3 songs. 2 of them were released. I think the 3rd one was pending, but it's with the singer.
Were you a composer in this one?
I wasn't. I was a music producer, and I was also a studio engineer. So I forgot what the studio is, but it's in Times Square. So you can literally see the Times Square from the studio with a big SSL board and like a live piano room. It's one of the biggest studios I've ever been to.
Wow.
And yeah, I recorded a bunch of tracks with them, and that was my first gig. I also had started working as a pharmacist, so you know, I had the money coming in. So I was building my own studio at home, composing my own songs, releasing my own songs as well. And then, that's where we are right now, man. And then I took some time off. I moved to India for a while. I
Right.
worked in Mumbai with a bunch of singers, bunch of composers, people that you like are super big now.
Right.
So I've done tracks with them. I have tracks on my hard drive with their vocals, my production, and the life goes on, man. I'm still composing. I'm still releasing, and I absolutely love it.
So did you learn how to DJ or just learn on your own?
So DJing, I had a roommate in my freshman year who taught me like the ropes of how to DJ.
Okay.
But once you have a sense of rhythm, it's pretty easy to pick up. But I think for folks to get there, and then also reading the audience's pulse is a big one.
Yes.
So being able to read the audience and play the songs, I think that's a big one. But you get it.
Right.
If you keep doing it for a long time, like you said, if you fail 50 times, you're gonna be okay the 51st time.
Right.
So I wasn't a great DJ, and
Right.
I'm not necessarily saying I was the best DJ.
Right.
But I was good. I was good enough where I did, clubs, I did receptions, I did weddings, and
Right.
bunch of
No,
different things.
you have a good sense. I mean, because you know how the music works, that it
Yeah.
kind of works in your favor, right? And you understand.
It's a double-edged sword. Sometimes
Is it?
being able to make music makes you more judgmental about playing certain music that works.
Okay.
For example, Yo-Yo Honey Singh's music is great. It works great on the dance floor. But as a composer, you might think that's very simple to make. Anyone can
Right.
make that.
Right.
But it's not necessarily as simple to make. But as a DJ, you don't necessarily see the flip side of it.
Correct.
And as a composer, you don't necessarily see the flip side of what the audience pulse is.
Right.
Sometimes you know what the audience pulse is if you're a really, really good composer or just are tuned to it.
Right.
But it's a fine line between
Right.
both. Yeah.
No, I think that's fascinating, and like I think you very well said, right? Sometimes even the same bangers that they come up with, they might
Yeah.
not work with an audience.
Yeah.
But then there's the same different. So like the trying to get the pulse of the audience, and
Yeah.
So when you dropped your first music, this is your on YouTube, right? Darshak Bhai, who we know,
Yeah.
he kind of showed me your video.
Yeah.
He kind of and I was kind of fascinated because I had met you before that. Before actually I saw your video,
Mhm.
and then he told me he's into music, and I'm like, okay, right, let
Yeah.
me see if how am I not heard of Arpit?
Yeah.
And then when I saw it, and I was like, you had the thousands of views on your song,
Yeah.
and I was like, this dude is big.
Yeah.
So why are you not producing so often? Like, why are you not? Are you doing this full time, or are you just doing it for?
No, I still work. I still have a full-time gig, and I still make music, right? So with music, you have to realize that people that you see who are doing it full-time are 1%. And then 99% of other people are making music, and they're hoping to get there.
Oh, is it okay?
That's like an engineer who's a design engineer who wants to design an iPhone. There are so many design engineers,
Right.
but not everyone gets to design an iPhone.
Correct.
I tell this to everyone. Yeah, everyone's an engineer. You and I know probably 500 engineers between both of us, right?
Right.
But have any engineer that you know designed the Golden Gate Bridge
No.
or, the Statue of Unity, Statue
Right.
of Liberty? No, right?
Right.
So it's I think you have to find comfort at your level
Okay.
and be willing to work hard and have persistence.
Right.
That what I'm doing it is fulfilling me.
Right.
And then audience has to listen to the song.
Right.
But if you do it for the audience, you forget your core of why you're doing this in the first place.
Gotcha.
And I'm doing music for me.
Gotcha.
I'm not doing it for the views. I'm not doing it for, money is great. It's a great byproduct.
Right.
But if you only do that, then you're going to have to do stuff that you're not comfortable with.
Right. You feel your creativity will be compromised if you just focus on money while creating
Yeah,
something?
I definitely think so. And, I think anyone you talk to that's in the creative field will tell you the same. If you focus on the money, what you're going to do is you're going to always be pressurized to say, I need to get X amount of views. I need to do this because the audience likes this. I need to do this. So
Right.
you're actually cutting your hands, leg, a toe, ear at a time.
Right.
And just removing what's you and you're separating from the art.
Amazing. Yeah,
Right?
it's a good analogy.
So it's very hard to see it from that perspective, but I think a lot of people who have that artistic perspective will tell you that money will always be a byproduct.
Okay.
But obviously, you want to see your music as a business.
Right.
So once I make the song, that's only 20% of the work.
Okay.
The other 80% is, okay, I have this piece of art that I love.
Right.
How do I get this to the most amount of ears? How do I get it to the right ears? And how do I turn this into a viable product that can get me a return on investment?
Gotcha.
But all that comes after you make the song. If I'm thinking about that 80% when I'm making the song, I will never make a song.
Right.
I will never, ever make a song.
Do you work on a timeline? Like, okay, I'm going to have to create my music in this much time. So I better start thinking of
No,
Okay.
I don't. Unless, so I had an album that I worked with a company, right? I would say that was due in August last year, a couple months after my first baby girl was born, right? And I had 8-month timeline to deliver 10 songs. And these are 10 songs that you will never hear, but they will be eventually placed in a show, in a Netflix series or Amazon Prime or a TV ad.
Right.
Whoever picks it up.
Correct.
But these are songs that you will never hear, but I had to deliver it to this client. And, we had worked out a deal where, I would do that for them. But it put a lot of pressure on me.
Wow.
Even though, like, if I didn't have the pressure, honestly, I can give you 10 songs potentially in a day, a week, 2 weeks.
Right.
But because I had the pressure to deliver a certain type of a product that fits a certain criteria, that has a certain type of a mold I need to fit it in,
Okay.
it limits what you can do.
So now let's talk about creativity. Right? Because when I see you, you are influencer. You can influence people via your social media, which you do because I get influenced when I see some of your videos. And what's your creativity process? Like, how does it work? You tell me yours, I'll tell you mine for this podcast. Kind of this
so
setup.
I'd love to hear yours. I'll tell you mine. And for somebody who's in music, it's a very, very arbitrary process.
Right.
I could be sitting here and I could look at that photo and I could think of, a character and I can write a song on it. Or I could be in the kitchen and my wife would be cooking something and I would hear a clink, clank, bang, right? On like a pot and pan and start thinking of a beat. And then I could take that to the studio and then I could play something on it and nothing would happen to it. And then randomly I would pull it up a year or two later and I would have a full song ready in a minute.
Wow.
But it's so arbitrary, man. I'll tell you, I released an instrumental recently and a little TMI, but I'll share this, right? My wife was pumping milk for my baby, right?
Okay.
And, the pump makes a very, a sound like, right? That kind of a sound.
Right.
So I just recorded that on my phone.
Right.
And I was like, maybe I can use this for something. And I brought it into my software. I chopped it up. I put it all together. I put some drums on it. Created a beat, and next thing you know, I'm like playing keys on it. I added vocals on it. I'm playing like top line melodies on it, and it's a song that I released.
Wow!
And if you hear the song now that you hear the song, you can hear that it's a sound of a breast pump.
Okay.
But that's how random the creativity process is. Sometimes I ask my lyric writers, send me like a line of a hook, like 4 lines. And I would write off of that. I would take that and I would compose something. I would play something, and sometimes I wouldn't even use the lyrics.
Right.
I would write a brand new set of lyrics or write a brand new song on it. But it's such an arbitrary process.
Is there a requirement that a song has to be certain minutes for it to be like a? Is there like a requirement in music industry normally?
There is. There are no molds in the music industry per se to create music.
Okay.
But to be commercially viable, there is a structure that most people follow.
Okay.
So there is an introduction section, then you have your first section, then you have the main section that we call the hook.
Okay.
And then you have another section, then you have a hook, and then you have something called a bridge, and then you have a hook again.
Okay.
And usually nowadays, all songs are between 2.5 to 3.5 minutes.
Correct. Right.
And that's because our attention span is just going low. And that's how all songs are created.
That's amazing.
Every single song that you can imagine is, I would say 90% of the songs will follow that flow.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have any superstitions like when you are either releasing something or when you are, let's say today you feel, okay, I'm feeling very creative today. I think today is my day. And you have like a right foot forward first.
No.
Anything like that?
No, I honestly don't. And funny that you say like, when the days that I say I feel very creative today are probably the least creative ones.
Yeah.
And honestly, creativity and inspiration is just showing up every day.
Right.
Like,
I agree.
If I don't make music for a month and go back to the studio, I've kind of lost that muscle. So I'll say creativity is almost like a muscle that you need to build.
Right.
You need to show up every day, be it a piano. So, I just moved to a new house. My studio's in the basement. Obviously, with life changes, it gets very difficult to go down there and find an hour. I'm sure you know with two kids, right?
2 kids is...
So I bought a piano in my living room, and the solo reason for that is if I have 5 minutes, I'm going to go sit there and I'm going to try to write something. Even if it's 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines.
Right.
And just this morning, I opened up the piano. I literally played 3 keys, and I came up with an idea.
Right.
But had that not been there, the tool for inspiration not been there, had I not shown up to those keys, I wouldn't have wrote that.
Correct. Consistency, like a lot of things in life, it's a must.
Yeah.
It's someday to show up, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
99% of the days might not work, but you just need that 1%.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then just you never know.
What was your process? You said you.
So, so what happens is like now that I want to keep doing this, I sometimes feel okay. I have a guest coming because a lot of times I feel like my editing team, my content team, I have to. We kind of brainstorm, and I tell them, if you give me too many points and stuff, it's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
My whole strength is spontaneity, like just staying there.
Yeah.
You saw we wrote like 6 points, right? Now it doesn't matter to me. It's playing in the back of my mind, but it doesn't come to me. And every time I say, okay, today I'm going to know what I'm going to talk to Arpit, for example, right? Yeah. I'm going to, this is my day. Let me sit down. I am all over the place, dude.
Yeah.
There is just one moment before every recording that comes to me where I feel like, I think this is it. Like how I want to structure it. So like how I was introducing you today, I had like 10 ways of how I thought out, and then you start, removing. Okay, it looks nice, but if I do it, it's not going to look nice.
Yeah.
And then whatever just comes to you in that moment, you go with it.
It's the flow state.
And I don't have pressure. I don't have time. I do have timeline.
Yeah.
Because I want to ensure that my video comes out periodically, right? You want the audience to be expecting. And now I'm at a point where I do get messages, text messages, or sometimes, people who, and I don't believe I'm saying this because how lowballing I was doing when I was actually started this. And my friends asked me, where's the teaser? It's Friday morning. You haven't dropped it. And I'm like, yeah, man, hold on. We are having we are working on it.
No, it's a learning process, right?
So when you work, that's why I was asking you, when working against the timeline, what do you do? Like, how do you react to that?
I think you just kind of buckle up, right? And I wouldn't say it's not a good thing, because when I was in Mumbai, I'll tell you a story. I went to studio. So my Mumbai studio hours were we would go to studio at 3 p.m. Everyone in Mumbai starts their day at 2, 3 p.m.
3 p.m. in the evening, you started work?
Yeah.
Okay.
So go to studio, you get a little bit of chai. There's usually a chai wala. So like, you go in the studio, you get a nice cup of chai. And they're like, we need to create a song for this movie. We need to make a Tapori Mawali type of song, and we need to we need to produce this. Me and my producer, friend that I was with, named Vipul of Rajdev, start creating a song, finish it. The composer that I was working with comes in and sings the top line. And like, okay, cool. By like 1 o'clock at night, wrapped up the song. And okay, let's do a final mix so it's good to hear. The director's coming to hear it.
Okay.
And mind you, this is the 3rd day in Mumbai, okay? Killer song. We meet a killer song. And we go, open the door, Remo D'Souza standing in front of us.
Wow.
And Remo comes in. He's in his shorts. So he just came from the gym with his hat. Comes, sits, puts his foot up. He's like, Bajao. And we play this song, right? And the song was Mummy Kasam, Mummy Kasam. So it's a fun vibe song. But I didn't know who was coming, but we had a timeline that we need to get this done by the day.
Right.
And sometimes when you pressure yourself, you come up with some of the best ideas. Do I like working like that? Very rarely. I'd rather take my time. If I'm not getting inspiration, I'll go grab a cup of chai, take a walk, come back. But it just depends.
Right.
Creativity is a great tool if you can learn to use it to your advantage.
Yes.
But I don't think everyone is able to.
Right.
There are times I use it to my advantage, but I'm not the best at it.
No, I somewhat I like that thought. Creativity should come to it'll come to you. Just keep showing up, sit there. So I have my spot in my house where I just sit there.
There you go.
Or if I'm walking, that's when I get the best ideas. When I'm walking, just walking.
That's it.
just go and walk. So I go
Yeah.
for a walk. Something comes to me, and then I'm like, okay, wait, I need to.
When you say you sit there, is it the bathroom?
No, I tried that. I don't think bathroom gives me the best of the
Yeah.
ideas. I have a sofa.
Yeah.
I just sit on it, and
Yeah.
sometimes watching kids, I get ideas.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
If I'm planning something, I'm like, okay, all right,
So,
I'm just watching.
There's a
them.
guy called Rick Rubin. He says that ideas are always just floating around,
Right.
and you just have to be able to grab it.
Wow.
But if you're not there, if you're not fishing for the ideas, it could go and somebody else could catch the idea,
That's deep, man.
and it'll never come to you. So you just have to be fishing for that idea, and
Right.
when it comes, you'll catch it.
Correct.
But just make yourself available. Make yourself a vessel for the art to flow through you, or the idea to flow through you.
Wow.
You're an empty vessel.
Right.
Like to this day, I don't understand. Nobody in my family knows music. I don't know music. And how have I learned it? It's still beyond my understanding, the little that I know. And I don't think I know much music, to be honest. I know maybe 5-10% of what some of the best know, right? Maybe
Right.
even less than that. But to even know that and how I know that, I don't understand it.
Right.
I don't even know how I do what I do.
So that's how all artists are.
Yeah.
Art just comes to you, like sometimes.
Just think about it. Musicians are making melody and feelings out of thin air.
Right.
At the end of the day, when music plays, you're vibrating air and creating emotions.
Right.
Like that gives me goosebumps when you
Yeah.
think of it that way, that you're vibrating air in somebody else's speakers and
Right.
giving them emotions
Correct.
and feelings. If that's not magical or godlike, I don't know what is.
Yeah,
right?
it's yeah, you can touch the sensation of somebody by just, playing a specific kind of a song, right?
One note, and that's it.
Let's go back a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
I want to talk about your dad. You said that your dad, he still encouraged you to, he pushed you kind of in a way. He
didn't
supported
push
you.
me,
He
but
supported
he
you.
supported me. He supported me,
Right.
and he's like, get your education, do this, do both, and then once you have a degree to fall back on,
Right.
do whatever you want. You can always fall back on a stable career. And I think from his perspective, somebody who left everything in India, came to a different country, started working for $5 an hour.
Right.
My mom, who had never worked in India, and we had all the amenities in India, like they did so much struggle, right, to get us to a point.
Right.
So from their perspective, if you think about it, they didn't need to do that, but they did that for this generation, for us to have a better future,
Right.
right? Where we don't have to think about spending $5, $10, $50, $100 as much as we used to, or they had to, right?
Right.
They made us so comfortable. So I think it was the right thing to do
Okay.
for that generation to
Right.
push us into a direction,
Right.
but they were still supportive,
Right.
and I think that's the right way to do it.
No, absolutely. One more funny thing that comes to my mind when I'm listening to you, right? Like a comedian always says, "I am not funny," and when in front of my wife.
Yeah.
An actor will say, "I'm not a good actor in front of my wife."
Yeah.
The world sees me differently. You are now married.
Yeah.
And your wife also does.
She's a food scientist. She's a phenomenal cook.
Anju Veg is
Yeah,
her.
Anju Veg. Yeah.
So while I was doing some research about you, how does she feel about that?
She honestly
About you in like your
Yeah. So
music.
she was always very supportive, and she still is extremely supportive. Even nowadays, baby's cranky, she'll cook for the baby whole day, do her job, and still be like, I'll take care of this. Go spend some time in the studio. I think you should
Right.
get your creative out there.
Right.
So she's extremely supportive,
Right.
and I appreciate that a lot about her, that she understands what that means to me,
Right.
and how much that means to me, and I think that's extremely important. right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that you have an amazingly supportive partner too, that is
Yeah.
on the journey with you.
Right.
So I'm sure you can value what that means on that journey.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I thank God. She's great. My whole family's been great. My mom, my brother, my whole family, my wife, my dad. Man, they all have been extremely supportive.
Right. And it's important because like I mean sometimes what they see is what we don't see in ourselves.
Yeah,
And they kind of feel it. And when they tell you go and just do it, they kind of know, if you just keep on
yeah.
just going, you'll be
Yeah.
fine. Just
But,
don't
sometimes if you're creative, it's also hard. They're not seeing what you're seeing,
Yeah.
and even just explaining that to them,
Happens to me a lot, man.
Yeah.
I wanted these 2 lamps, and she didn't see value in these 2 lamps. So then I had to work around the studio that I built. It took me like some years. I was like, nah, it's gonna work. It's gonna work.
Yeah.
This 2 years of buying just stuff and just
Yeah.
keeping in the basement.
Yeah.
So I do see your point. I mean, I'm sure anybody would get mad.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna build my own fortress or something at the end of the day. But yeah, so I see that point.
Sometimes it's hard to see the vision, but
Yeah.
it gets through.
Yeah. Because, I'll tell you, I don't know if it happens to you as well or not. A lot of times I just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
I just put up a brave face. I'm like, yeah, I got this. Don't worry.
Nobody
I have
knows
no
what's
idea.
going on, man.
I have no
Nobody
clue.
knows what's going on.
I have no clue, dude.
Yeah.
So for you, it will be even. That's why I get blown away when I was thinking about having you on the show to like understand your process, right? Can we talk a little bit about this business side of this music making? So I had heard one interview from Guru Randhawa actually, where he was saying that this big banners like T Series and all these folks, they're giving you a launch pad, but you should be smart enough to get some royalty.
Yeah.
So how does that work? If you make your music today, which we're going to talk about in the next segment, how does that work?
Yeah. So it's crazy. This is a big rabbit hole, and a lot of artists don't understand it because they I want to create art. I don't want to learn about this, right? So when you write a music and you independently own it, you get paid 2 ways. One is when your music gets played on radio or Spotify.
Okay.
And 2 is something called the master. And the master, for the lack of better words, is, remember back in the day, you had cassettes and you had a record, right? Or a CD. Every time that gets sold, right, that's a different royalty you get. Okay. And also, if I want to give my song to a movie, I'm getting something called a synchronization right. So all these rights are you as a composer, you as a writer own, right?
Okay.
So those are different avenues of getting paid.
Okay.
So those are different ways you'll be getting paid. So every time you stream my song on Spotify, I get paid 0.00012 cents if you played 30 seconds of that song.
Okay. Good.
Right? Every time I put a video on YouTube and there's an ad in front of it, if somebody skips an ad, depending on how the advertiser on YouTube have worked out, I get a percentage of that.
Okay.
And then the third way is, let's say you're making a movie or you're doing a podcast and you're like, Arpit, I really like your song and I want to use it for my podcast.
Right.
I can sell you a right to put that song at beginning of every episode and I would get paid every time I do that.
Correct.
Or let's say you open up a record label and you're like, Arpit, I want to buy all of your music. And as far as I own my masters, I own the original recording.
Okay.
I can give you that.
Okay.
And I can be like, Halak, for this song, I'm going to charge you X amount of money.
Correct.
And then this recording is yours. But the interesting part is, once I sell you that, that doesn't stop me from going to the studio, getting new musicians, and re-recording that and re-releasing that.
Okay.
Because you can never buy melody and lyrics.
Okay.
So you can buy my song or you can own it, but nothing stops me from re-recording it and re-releasing it. That's what Taylor Swift did.
And there was a big thing that came out of that, right?
Yeah, so Taylor Swift, Scooter Braun, I believe Scooter Braun bought all her music.
The guy who Justin Bieber kind of managed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Taylor Swift was pissed that he owns all my music, but luckily Taylor Swift wrote her songs and she owned her melodies and lyrics. Okay. So what she did is she literally went to the studio, recorded all of her songs, and released the same songs as Taylor's version.
Okay.
So now, every time you play that, she gets the money. But had you not played the Taylor's version, Scooter Braun and his recording company would get the money.
But Scooter Braun can also play his version. He owns with some other artist.
He owns it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, that's what I was going to ask you, because in like what happens in India and here your modern music, right? A lot of you hear like Anu Malik copied this tune from that. So does he pay any royalty to the original, or they just?
So it depends, right? It depends how it was done.
Obviously, that's an example.
Yeah.
Final Countdown song came out.
Yeah.
And Maine Pyar Kiya, that Salman Khan's famous song, right? That is so identical. Like you can tell, they've copied.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's some kind of a handshake going on between T-Series, which is Super Cassettes Limited. That's the parent company of T-Series that they work under.
Okay.
Super Cassettes, and whoever owns Final Countdown. I'm sure there's some kind of payment going back and forth. Timbaland did a song where he used I think Asha Bhosle sample, right? And Buppy Larry actually sued Timbaland and said, "This is my song, this is my composition," and he actually got paid. Buppy Larry got paid by Timbaland and the record company because they used to sample. So what you're talking about is there is two different aspects, right? Obviously, if you blatantly copy something, you have to pay for it.
Correct.
But if you sample something, let's say you take a part of the song, right, and you put in another song, you also have to pay the person that owns that master recording.
Okay.
The person that owns a physical copy of that.
Right. It's a big business though, right? It's like a huge
It's a huge business.
Right? You have so many avenues.
You can't blame record labels. They're running a business, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, they have to make their money back somehow. So
Right.
That's how they're going to do it. They're going to sign you, Halak, I like the way you sing. I'm going to sign you for $3 million for 10 years for 3 albums.
Right.
But that's also a trick. Not a trick, but it's a business. That $10 million for three albums, right? Or $3 million, $3 million,
for
whatever the number is, right?
Yeah.
If they give you a certain amount of money, what they're going to do is that's your money to make the album for us.
Okay.
So you don't have that money. You have that money to make the music
Correct.
and go on your tour, do your photo shoot, do your video. That's your budget.
Right. Right.
They're giving you that money as a loan.
Gotcha.
Once your music makes that money back for them,
Right.
then you start making money.
Okay.
That's where a lot of people don't get it. If they sign somebody for X amount of dollars,
Right.
they're loaning that money for them to make that music so the company can make that money back plus more, and then you get your rate or percentage after that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's
Very complicated.
It is complicated, but I wanted to ask you about
Yeah.
this because I've heard we hear new stories, we hear like news, and we feel like, but we don't understand the technicalities. When we talk about we're in the age of AI right now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And Autotune has always been there from
Yeah.
beginning to change your voice.
Yeah.
How do you feel AI is helping generate music faster? Like catching up on tones which you would have had to struggle to find a tone.
Yeah. So AI, Autotune, two separate things, right? So Autotune, I'll talk about that first. Autotune, everyone uses it. The biggest singer in the world, even if you
Even
can't
Arjit
tell-
Singh?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why big singers use it. And I'll tell you why every singer uses it. Before, back in the day when you listened to a Kishore Kumar song, right? Or a Michael Jackson song, right? Everything was being played live, right? Guitars were live, pianos were live, recorded pianos, right? Every time you have something live, it creates a margin of error where it's slightly not perfectly tuned,
Okay.
right? Like if you draw a single line without a tool, I can almost assure you it's not going to be as straight as if you used a ruler and you drew it.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So when you do it analog without any help of any other tool, there's a margin of error. So the singer is a little bit margin of error too, and it sounds fine because everything's slightly maybe 0.01% off the rail.
Right.
Or this way or that way, right?
Right.
Now everything is digital. I barely record live instruments because I have access to digital instruments
Right.
that are 110% in tune every time I hit a key.
Wow.
Right? So
110% precision.
if everything I do is so precise,
Right.
even if I'm that 0.1% off, or the best singer in the world is 0.1% off, they're gonna sound like they're not singing right.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So every singer will get a slight taste of autotune.
Right.
It might be slightly there, just to be like, go in line, here, right?
Right.
And it's not to say they're bad singers,
Right.
but it's just a tool
Tools.
that
Correct.
you need to have.
Just to make it.
And then there are singers like me who are not naturally the best singers.
Right.
I have a sense of tone and melody, but I like to call myself a entertainer and a performer, not a singer.
Right.
I use autotune, and so do many other singers that use it. And
Correct.
I think right now it's just a tool.
And some people sound great.
It's stylistic, right?
I love it.
For some people, it's stylistic,
great,
right?
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to AI, I think AI is insane. There's a tool called Suno.ai.
Okay.
You literally write, I need a song about a podcast that's Clean Slate Show Runner
Right.
with 2 people talking and with beautiful lights.
Right.
30 seconds, you'll have a 1.5-minute song ready.
Wow.
And it's impeccable how good that song is going to be. And you can use that. And that there's a place for it, right? Let's say you're editing this show and you don't have the budget to create a huge song. You pay that subscription. You create a theme music for my show that gives me the highlight of XYZ with these themes. you can take that. Now, you can use that as is, and you'll have the license to, or you can use that as a launching pad.
Right.
That's kind of like telling ChatGPT to find me some research and talking points on XYZ. You take that and you do your research, and then you go from there.
Right. Right.
So it's reducing that burden. And I've used it.
Okay.
There are a bunch of tools that allow you to do some creative stuff like that music-wise.
Right.
And then you can take that and you can use that as inspiration. In the time where you don't have that inspiration, you can use that as a jumping pad, right?
Right.
It's like, okay, that sounds nice.
Who knows that tone might trigger something else for you, and then...
Exactly. So it's just a tool.
Right.
And it's only as good. All AI is only as good as the input.
Right.
Only as good as the input. So you need to be able to tell it what to do in order to get a decent result that you can do something from.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about you now. I mean, you here when you told me that our release has to align. I mean, I'm going to try and do alignment with you are dropping two songs, right?
Yeah. So one of the songs is called Tuts. And it's a fun song, and what's really cool about this song, I absolutely love the angle that it's in. You can listen to it and you can connect to it the way you want to connect to it.
Okay.
Every song is like that, but there's usually a theme of a lover, a friend, or whatever, right?
Right.
But this song is written in such a way where if you listen to it and you think of that person, you will always see it from that perspective.
Gotcha. Amazing.
Right? The hook is "Tu mil mujhe tujhse baatein karni hai." Now you might think it's a love song,
right?
But to a friend, it could be a friend that's no longer around.
Correct.
Or to me, it's my dad who's no longer around.
Right.
So it's such a beautifully written song. My lyricist in India did an insane job writing this song. So I'm actually looking forward to it. We're planning a video for it. So
awesome.
So we'll release that, and I want to do something creative with the video. So let's see.
It's dropping this summer?
Yeah, it's gonna be this summer.
Okay. And by the way, this is no joke. You need to go and see his. I'm gonna paste it in the link. When he's talking about the music video, when I saw your what was that video? Where is a purple thumbnail? Husn Nawabi. And I was actually blown away. I mean, I think the way it was shot.
Yeah.
And the song, it was flowing pretty seamless.
Yeah.
So how much do you decide?
So I already know what the video I want it to look like. I usually tell it to the director and my DOP who's filming, and I tell them the themes that I want to go with, and then we usually have like a storyboard and like a mood board of the clothes and the look and the feel. So it's a whole creative process.
Right.
I love being involved in it. Sometimes they don't want me to be involved in it. But it's a lot of fun.
Right.
So
how much do you give them a free hand? How much do you give them free hand if they want
if they have
shot certain way?
If they have an idea, I'm happy to listen to it. So there's a really old song called Rula Diya that I did.
Okay.
Went to Pittsburgh to film it, and we told the guys, like, listen, this is a sad song. We want to make people cry.
Okay.
And I need you to do what you need to do.
Right.
That's the only direction they had.
Right.
And what we ended up doing is we went to an abandoned warehouse where there were bullet shots into the wall, concrete falling, broken bathrooms, and the whole song is shot in there with dim lighting to give you just, you look at this song and you'll know these people are sad. But yeah, that was like the whole creative that they had a brief of making it sad and really sad.
Right.
And they went and ran with it, man. They did an insane job at it. So.
Did you feel at some point you would like to act?
Man, I had an itch. I don't talk about it.
Abe to Gujarati ma, this freaking it's huge.
Yeah. Mane itch che, but I don't want to do it because I know where my weaknesses are for acting, and I know what I enjoy. I enjoy music, right?
Okay.
So I have done stuff with the Comedy Factory. I don't know if you heard of them.
Comedy Factory, Manan Desai, and they come and chair me.
I worked with Manan. I've done an ad for Vadilal with Manan.
I saw one of your Instagram. You kind of posted it as well. You kind of always been supportive of them.
Obviously Manan is doing great stuff for the Gujarati community, right?
Right.
Insane stuff. I did something with Malhar Thakkar.
Okay.
During COVID. So
Okay.
we did a series for Vadilal, and it was like a 13-minute video that's on there.
Where is this?
You can find it on YouTube I think it's on Vadilal's channel.
Viral, okay.
Yeah. So they were creating different ice creams for different things around the world, and they wanted to highlight America. They call it the American nut ice cream.
Okay.
So Malhar and me were acting, and we did a video for it. So, man, acting is
scene is blowing up, man.
Bro, it's
with
crazy.
Gujarati, like nowadays, I mean, and they're spending like some money.
Yeah, man.
In getting the
It's
production
growing.
value.
I think it's about time. I think Gujarati cinema takes a little next step. So
yeah.
I'm glad it's happening, man. It creates avenues and doors for everyone.
Yeah, that's why I thought, because like I wanted to ask you this because you should. I mean, you are.
I've done Gujarati songs, man.
No, not just the songs, but like you have a good niche for it.
Oh man, I think I need to brush up on my acting.
For someone
skills
like
if I would
us
need
who are
to do that.
civilians, you I recognize game, man.
I'll stick
I
to
recognize game.
music, bro. Thank you, I appreciate it, but
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I'll stick to music. But if the right opportunity arrives, I'll take a small role. That's it.
So Manan Desai and them, I have always admired Comedy Factory from the very beginning because they're different, and I like his presence, man.
Yeah.
That guy kind of commands you to listen.
Man, he used to be a radio jockey, right?
Yeah, he does.
He has a control.
And that shows, right? When when he's done this for so many years.
Yeah.
Even that guy Chirayu Mistry.
Yeah.
I saw him in his videos, but I saw him do a stand-up when they came last time, right? In Jersey. And I kind of was like, yeah, man, this guy is actually pretty good.
They're all great, man. And what they're doing for the scene is insane.
Yeah.
What they're doing for the scene is mad.
No, amazing, man. So I think it's the perfect time for me to conclude the podcast. And any last thoughts?
Man, this was great. I could go on for a while, man. This was good, but I want to see you in the next season. And
absolutely keep making music, man.
Man, keep doing
I need to see you more.
This is good, man.
Yeah.
I'm
just enjoying myself right now. I'm just not.
Man, two songs, and
they're dropping this summer.
And then we'll be doing a lot more.
Awesome.
There's a lot more in the works.
Awesome. So I'll be sure to drop. I'll be sure to share on our pages so that you guys can see amazing work that Arpit does.
Yeah.
And with that being said, please share the video, and we'll see you guys. This is your host Halak signing off. See you in the next video.